I've been wanting this for a long time, and I finally got a yes from a news station that's going to give me this more hosting experience. But being in this podcast mastermind has shown me that I don't need a news station to get more hosting experience. What I need to do is be better, greater, focused, more consistent on my own show.
It's time to start the show and educate the people. Oh. It's time to help you see just how you can be financially free with Cleo.
Welcome back to another episode of Financially Free with Cleo. I am your host, Cleo Childress, and I'm going to be talking about letting go and how letting go can be the new start that you need. And of course, I'm going to start with sharing some of my own personal experiences, something that recently happened to me, y'all. And I wasn't sure if I should share it because I really didn't think it was that big a deal. I kind of underestimated the whole experience, but I was inspired and motivated by my good friend Cleo Green, news anchor at WFAA Channel 8 in Dallas. And she had mentioned to me a few weeks ago and was like, Cleo, are you going to share, the big decision that you made recently? And in my mind, I was like, no. But then I thought about it. I was like, you know what? Maybe I should share this because it could help someone else. It's always about sharing your journey, your transformation, your story in hopes that it will inspire at least one other person. So just, take a quick trip back. Several years ago when I was younger, I always wanted to be a news reporter. But when I went to college, I did study accounting and I did at one point want to be a CPA. But, once I graduated from, college and then I was going to, get my master's of accountancy. And then I was just like, nah, I don't think I want to be an accountant. So in college, I actually got into the insurance industry as a claims adjuster. And that's how I started my journey in the insurance industry on the claims side. And a lot of my work experience has been in the claims adjuster field in the insurance industry. So even though I still had this feeling in my heart that I want to be a news reporter, I always felt like or thought that I needed to go back to college, go back to school and get a journalism degree, communications degree. And I was like, I really want to be a news reporter, but I'm like, I ain't trying to go back to school. I don't want to go back to school. After a bachelor's, unless I absolutely needed to go, I wasn't trying to go back to nobody's school. So I just kind of felt like, you know what, maybe I'll just go back to school one day, if that's truly what I want. Fast forward years later, right? And I remember back in 2018, fall of 2018, I believe. And not I believe, that's what it is. It was fall of 2018. I was living in Dallas, and I had to go back to Denver, Colorado because I had an assignment with the claims contracting work that I do. And I remember when I was back in Colorado, my mom, she came to Texas to stay with my daughter because she was in high school, and she stayed with my daughter while I had to travel for work. So my mom, she told me, she said, there's a news anchor on TV and her name is Cleo. And in my mind, I'm thinking there's already a reporter on TV named Cleo. I wanted to be the first, but not seriously, but just in a joking way. But then I was like, wow, another Cleo. I don't get to meet Cleos every day. There's not a lot of Cleos that I've come across in my lifetime, especially a Cleo that's not somebody's grandmama or that's not somebody's cat. Every time I meet someone, they say, oh, my grandma's name is Cleo or my cat is named Cleo. And I'm just like, okay. But I started following her on Instagram. I started watching her news segments and she seemed really sweet, really cool. And one day she had posted on her Instagram stories and she said, ask me anything. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to ask her a question. The question I asked her was, what advice does she have for someone who wants to transition into the broadcast journalism industry. Now, I was going to ask her something else because I was like, she's probably not trying to get any business questions, but I was like, you know what? Bump that. I'm about to ask. So I asked her and she replied saying, sure, send me an email. And she gave me her email address. Now, I don't know about y'all, but when you get an email or a phone number, you kind of get real excited because it's like you have a direct contact with them. So she could have just simply responded saying, a couple of little tips, but she gave me her email address, and that let me know that she was genuinely interested in giving me more than just a few words. So I sent her an email, told her what my experience was, what I was trying to do. We set up a phone call. We had several conversations, and she was telling me, what I needed to do to enter into the broadcast journalism industry as a news reporter. She gave me all the info, all the ups and downs, positive, pros and cons, everything. She even took the time to meet with me in person to help me make a reel. For those who don't know, a reel is basically a collection of your work. And since I don't have any real experience at a news station, she helped me create a reel that was like some mock stand-ups, as if I'm, on the street reporting, a news segment, and also putting together a collection of stories too. I did that too. Like there was one story I went to, for those who are familiar with Dallas, Texas, City Square. I went in that area and there were some areas over there where there's a lot of homeless people, but I spoke to one of the ladies that was homeless and she gave me some details about how she ended up there, what's going on now. It was wintertime at that time, and she said what we really need is not just the canned goods. We actually need, can openers, because we get canned goods all the time, but we don't have nothing to open these canned goods with. And I just asked her so many questions, and that just gave me a real, experience on what it's like to be out in the street reporting on a story. So, and then I would go back and create my own reels. I would send them to her. She would, review them, give me tips and feedback. I started sending my reel out to news directors. I think I pretty much sent a reel to every news station in the country. And of course, most of them, I didn't get a response, but there were some that did respond and they gave me feedback. They gave me advice. There were some news directors that were like, you seem to have some great things going on with your Cleo Yoga Finance brand, with your podcast. Why do you want to be a news reporter? And I even had another news director that said that he felt that being an entry-level news reporter was kind of like below my experience level when you think about all of my work experience, in my life and what I'm doing right now with my podcast and Financially Free with Cleo, what I'm doing with my Cleo Yoga Finance brand. So he was like, why do you want to do this? But it was just always a dream of mine to be a news reporter. And it's not just, I want to be on TV. It was just, I had a real interest in creating stories, sharing other people's stories, and being involved in the community and making a difference, making an impact. And that's what I really wanted to do. So I just kept sending my reel. I kept getting no's. And it got to a point where I said, you know what? Maybe this is a sign I don't need to be no reporter, because I keep getting no's after no's after no's, which is fine because I can handle some no's. But you do get to a point where you're wondering, do I need to keep pushing because I'm going to get that yes one day? Or is this a sign that I'm not going on the right path? So I had stopped sending out my reel and I stopped applying for news reporter jobs for a while. Then I would kind of go back into it and pick it up again. And then recently, 2021, right? After my road trip this summer, I thought to myself, I said, let me try one more time. So I applied for some jobs again, sent my news reel over, and I got a call from this news station. Again, I was living in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I got a call from a station in Tyler, Texas. And I applied for a MMJ position, which is multimedia journalist position. And the news director emailed me and said, we got your application for this MMJ position, but we feel that, based on your skill set, what you're doing on your podcast, your experience thus far, I already have had features as a guest on news segments already. he said that he felt I would be better at their digital news anchor host position, which is basically like a podcast for the news station. And in my mind, I'm thinking, this is perfect timing. Like for years, since for the fall of 2018, which, it's really years prior, but when I really started applying and creating reels was in 2018. And all these years, I've really just been wanting a news reporter job so bad. And I finally got something that I felt, did align with my skills. Basically, I probably wouldn't have gotten considered for that digital news host anchor position if it wasn't for me doing my podcast. They saw what I was doing on my podcast, and they saw the several times I was on Channel 8 in Dallas, and they said, we like you. We love what you're doing. We feel you will be great for this position. And I felt that I would be great for it too, because just like I'm sitting down right now on my podcast, talking about things I love to talk about. I would have been doing the same thing there, sitting down talking all day, getting paid to do something I really enjoy doing. And I took the job because I felt like this will give me more experience. I really enjoyed speaking with the news director and meeting everyone there, but I really felt like this opportunity was great for me for many reasons. But the main reason I felt like it was going to be good for me is because I felt like it would give me more experience with hosting. Like right now, I'm hosting my own show, Financially Free with Cleo, but it's still new. So I felt like I needed to go to a news station to get more experience, because they will probably have more eyes, more viewers. I could get more attention. I could get noticed quicker and probably build up my hosting resume at a news station while I still do my podcast, because that's something that they were okay with. They knew I wanted to keep doing my podcast because I'm not stopping this podcast. So that's something that I really appreciated, that they knew that I could do that job and this job too. Join me every single week on Sundays at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time for a money yoga session. You're probably wondering, what is this money yoga stuff? It's a vinyasa style yoga class with financial affirmations and financial empowerment. It's designed to help you relax, reset, and prep for the work week ahead. And if we are nurturing our mind and our bodies, we can make better financial decisions and live financially free. There will be Q&A at the end, so bring your money questions. You can register at cleoyogafinance.com/money-yoga. I'll see you on Sunday. Now let's get back to the episode. So I did the interview. I visited them in person. I signed a contract. I relocated from Dallas, Texas to Tyler, Texas. Now, if I'm relocating, that means I'm serious, because I've relocated several times over the years for a job. And when I relocate, that means I am about my business and I am serious. So I relocated, and there's a lot of things that I had kind of changed this year. I knew I wanted to be more aggressive and focus more on my show. I knew I wanted to get more experience with media, and I knew I joined a podcast mastermind with David Shands, who is the host of the Social Proof podcast. Co-host is Donnie Wiggins. And just since September, me experiencing their teachings when it comes to podcasting and just entrepreneurship in general, it's changed a lot of me inside and outside. It's changed a lot in my mind, my heart, my soul, my spirit, everything. So this year was a whole lot different than previous years. And as it got closer and closer to my start date for this news station in Tyler, the more I wondered, is this the right position for me? And I'll tell y'all, I felt so terrible, because I'm like, I done went through this interview. I went back and forth negotiating on this contract. I had to move my start date back, and they were working with me on that, and they were so nice. And I felt terrible that I was considering quitting, basically, letting go of this contract, because on one hand, I'm like, I've been wanting this since forever. I've been wanting this for a long time, and I finally got a yes from a news station that's going to give me this more hosting experience. But being in this podcast mastermind has shown me that I don't need a news station to get more hosting experience. What I need to do is be better, greater, focused, more consistent on my own show. And it didn't really click that way at first. I was chasing opportunities at a station to get more experience as a host, when really what I needed to do was take my own show more seriously and be more consistent on my own show. That way people will see that this is not just a little show. This is Financially Free with Cleo. I am serious. I'm about my business, and I want to make an impact in other people's lives when it comes to living and being financially free in your own way. The news station also told me that while I was there, I could have some financial segments. And I was so excited. I'm like, what? I already talk about money anyway, and I can have my own little segments on the news station. But then I thought about it. I'm like, how will this work if I'm creating these segments for the news station, but I'm also trying to create things on my own show? And I could have done both, but I just started to feel overwhelmed mentally. And I was like, you know what? I think I need to choose, because the job was going to be Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., 2 p.m. or 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. I would alternate working day and night side with the other host, and which was cool. But once I started to think about it, I said, I don't know if I can show up and be great as this digital news anchor host job and also show up and be great on my own podcast. And I know a lot of people do lots of things and are great at all the things, but I'm just talking about me, y'all. In this season of my life, I did not want to feel like I'm overworked and stressed out all the time because I'm trying to meet all of these demands in 100 different ways. And I didn't want to be great at the news station and not great on my show. And I didn't want to be great on my show and I couldn't show up and be great at the news station. So I had conversations with a few people to get people's advice on what I should do. I even consulted with an attorney because it was a contract that I signed, and I wanted to make sure that I was being professional about everything, but I wanted to make sure I understood legally what's going to happen if I back out of this contract. So what I ended up deciding was letting go of this contract with this news station. Even though, y'all, I done moved my behind to Tyler, Texas, I just started to feel like, you know what? There's so much that I want to do in my own show. I'm so excited about. And I appreciate the opportunity that news station gave me. I truly do. You know, I wanted them to know I was serious because I moved. Like I said before, I'm not moving unless I'm serious. And that was a hard decision to make. I cried about it, y'all. I cried. I prayed about it. It got to the point where I was so stressed about it. You know, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. It was hard for me to have certain conversations, but I had to tell myself, Cleo, there is no need to stress and worry, because what you need to do is figure out, where do you want to go? You know, things are going to change. You know, I can want to do this today, but tomorrow it could be something totally different for a variety of reasons. And I feel that we shouldn't do things because we don't want others to be upset or others to be mad or sad or inconvenienced. You know, you can still be professional about it. That was my most important thing, was still being professional about it and letting them know that I'm not going to be able to start this due to my own personal reasons. And that reason was deciding to focus on my own show and other things that I have doing around my show. So I want to encourage you to think about something in your life that you need to let go of. It could be something, it could be a job, it could be certain activities that you do, it could be a person that you need to let go of, it could be some habits that you need to let go of. What is something that you need to let go of today? You know, before the new year comes around, what is something you need to decide on that today and let it go? You're going to feel weird. You may feel stressed and worried about it. But once I made the decision, like, I was stressing and worrying about it so much, y'all. Once I made the decision, I felt so much better. It was like a weight was lifted off of me because I kept thinking if I don't let it go, this is how my life is going to be. And I was like, well, if I let it go, this is how my life is going to be. And I was like, well, if I don't, it was just so much back and forth in my mind. I told myself, Cleo, that's something that we need to do as adults. We need to learn how to make decisions and not sit for too long. If you keep sitting on decisions, you're going to be sitting and waiting and pushing it back when you could be holding yourself back from the life you truly want to live because you're just waiting to see, like, well, you're just kind of coasting by, right? No, make a decision. And that's what I had to do. But I'm telling y'all, I felt so good. I still felt like I went through all of this, spent time and money moving, preparing for this job. And then I also felt bad because I'm like, oh, now I got to find a new person and start the hiring process all over again. You know, I was being considerate of them because I was thinking of all the work they're going to have to do to find a new person. And that opportunity, I'm not saying that the news station wasn't great or the opportunity wasn't great. The news station was great. The opportunity was amazing. But what I learned is that sometimes you have to let go of greatness. You have to let go of awesome opportunities. You have to let go of amazing opportunities to get to greater, to get to better, to get to what was designed for your life. And that's what I had to tell myself, that Cleo, you're going to let this go and it's going to be hard. But if you keep staying focused on what you know is best for you in this season of your life, things are going to come. The new opportunities are going to come. More money is going to come. You know, more happiness and more positive experiences and meeting new people who bring value to your life is going to come. All the good things are going to come. Now, is every day going to be perfect? Absolutely not. There's no career, there's no industry that is perfect and great days every single day. But overall, you want to wake up doing something that, you know, overall you enjoy doing it. And even if there's something that you enjoy doing, you want to make sure that you are being selective with your opportunities. If I would have gotten this same job back in 2018, I would have jumped on it. But back in 2018, I wasn't doing my podcast. Back in 2018, I wasn't more consistent and intentional on social media like I am today. Back in 2018, I wasn't in these powerful mastermind groups with these other podcasters and other entrepreneurs. 2021 and 2020 has been so different for me. And I'm just excited for the ride. And I'm just reminding myself to always do what I feel is best for me, but still have professionalism, integrity, and be generous and kind to people, because that's how I would want to be treated. So spend some time this week asking yourself, what or who do I need to let go that's going to push me forward in my personal and professional life? Okay. And I also want to let you know that this episode has been brought to you by Daily Money Habits. And you're probably wondering, Cleo, what is Daily Money Habits? Well, Daily Money Habits is my new text community where you're going to get a text every single morning with a financial affirmation and one action step to take for the day. So sometimes you can be so overwhelmed when it comes to getting your financial life together. Sometimes you can be so overwhelmed with doing so much that you really don't get nothing accomplished, or you can be overwhelmed, not sure where to really start, and you just don't do anything. And it's all about those daily habits, what you're doing every single day, every single night, that really tells the truth about what is really going on in your life and what you really need to shift and change to do better. No matter how bad or how good you're doing in your money, in your financial lifestyle, it all goes back to those habits. You know, what are you doing or what are you not doing every single day? So I am going to help you make changes to your daily money habits so you can get closer to your financial goals. All right. So I want you to text money habits. That's money habits, all caps, and text it to 615-813-4827. Again, that is 615-813-4827. Text Money Habits, all caps, to that number. Now, if you don't text all caps, you're going to end up on somebody else's list. So to get on Cleo's Daily Money Habits text community, where you're going to get daily financial affirmations so you can be inspired and empowered to move and take action, and then also an action step so you exactly know what to actually do to get closer to your money goals. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next week.
You can be financially free with Cleo.